Welcome to Strength-Based Marketing. This podcast is really designed for people that want to grow their business, their personal life, professional life. I know with COVID-19, it's been strange, just strange that, how many things we've had to adjust to. And I know a little bit about our unconscious mind. It kind of freaks out with change. It's like, danger, danger, Will Robinson, you could die from this, and some people are really believing that message. And I think a lot of people are hurt. I feel like this country is hurting. And I think there's a lot of anger. I think there's a lot of fear. I think there's a lot of sadness. And so I wanted to bring some ideas, some tools, some people that I know that are brilliant in their field and give you hope, answers, ideas. And so with that, I just want to say, thanks for watching Strength-Based Marketing. I'm Pat Dewar. My guest today is Mary Hambleton. Now, you might have seen Rob and Mary in our previous show. They have done a lot of things with this COVID-19 thing. It's taken their business to a whole nother level. But Mary got a touch on something last week that I really wanted to expand. And that was that she had developed a personal improvement program, process, that she was walking people through, getting magnificent results, real results, and changed lives. And I have a big heart for that. I know in my life, that was one thing that really shifted everything. So with that, Mary, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Pat. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Now, where did you get this idea for this personal development, personal improvement? A lot of people hear that and they don't really understand it because it's as clear as mud. But where did this come from? And so I really want to get started with that. Where'd you start?
So, I would love to take credit for this program. This program was actually designed and developed by my husband, Rob. Over the years, as he moved through corporate America, he found himself working with people over and over and over, trying to get them successful in their career and help them, navigate the corporate America, if you will, and get yourself in the right position. Because he really truly believed that if you could be yourself, if you could take from your strengths, you could actually provide a better person to your employer, to the world. And so when him and I met in 2002, I was on my own personal journey and my own personal growth, and I had a lot of the same ideas. And so we just really, when we looked at my mission, my vision that I had wordsmithed over the years, and his mission and his vision, it laid over top of one another very perfectly. I always talk about the fact that if you're not in alignment, if you were a bridge and you weren't in alignment, Pat, what starts happening?
Oh, it's unstable.
It's unstable, and stress fractures start happening, right? In people, it's the same thing. If you are not in alignment with what you're doing, if you're not in alignment with who you're presenting to the world, you're going to start seeing stress. And it's going to start showing up in your behavior, in your attitudes, in your relationships, in your success. And so we've had this coaching program since 2002, and we've been offering it on a one-on-one basis, sitting down individually with folks for an hour once a week, working them through the process, and we saw amazing results. Well, when COVID hit, I had a couple of people reach out to me, and they said, gosh, Mary, we'd love to do this, but, we're self-quarantined, we know we need to make change happen in our lives. We can see the writing on the wall that some of us might not be called back to the same position. And although we were happy in those positions, we don't know what's the future. We don't know what this is going to bring. And so are there some tools? And I said, I think we could do it as a group. And so with Zoom and the power of the internet, we were able to put together a closed personal private Facebook group. We were able to do Zoom meeting once a week and then a one-on-one phone call with me. And the cool thing about that, Pat, is there's group energy and there's group synergy, and everyone has internal wisdom. And so with the tool that we have, that we provide people, it is a structured process, but they're able to reach into their own knowledge and their own wisdom and share with others. And it's just been phenomenal. It's been super fun.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Yeah, I have a big heart for that stuff. I know that in my own life, in early 2000, 99, 2000 timeframe, went through a multi-weekend thing, and I was amazed at how it began to shift things. And like you, and I would love to hear your mission statement. I came up with a mission statement, and it, basically the foundation of it, actually my mission statement is, I am touching the nation, mentoring leaders to activate their powers so they can create their destiny. And in 2003, I didn't really, 2003 when it was forming, and then really settled on that, I was touching Richardson, Texas 13 times a year. 2015, I'm checking off my 50th state training for a client, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm living my mission. So when you think about this process, and I think about what are some of the results that people are receiving or have received from this process that you walk people through?
Well, it's been it's such an amazing journey, because what we really do is we start with the reason why Soul Canyon is called Soul Canyon is because we believe that you have gifts and strengths down in the canyon of your soul. That when we come into this world, we have all these different strengths and gifts, but through growing up and through our parents and our teachers and society, we start burying those gifts, and people start telling us what we should and shouldn't be, and we kind of lose track of who we are, right? And so the very first step that we come into is directing you in your personal transformation, is really diving down into the canyon of your soul with mission and vision, and really looking at what are your passions, what are your assets, what are some of the barriers that you have, and then what is your vision of what is a perfect world for you, because what's success for one person is not success for another. And we really need to step back from our definitions of success. In this day and age of COVID, sometimes success is simply, hey, I got my job done today, I got the laundry done, and I got the kids fed. Boom, success, right? We've had to really take a look at what success means. And with the series of baby steps, we can help get you there. And really, truly, it's where are you, where do you want to go, and how do we get you there?
Right. But what I really want to know are if you had a couple of examples of some of the breakthroughs that you've seen people have. Because I remember, this will sound really dumb, but when I went through the multi-weekend thing, it was like 4 weekends. And after the 4th weekend, I said, man, I'm really screwed up. And then I went, but so's everybody else in the world. And that seems kind of silly, but a lot of people, they just think, I'm alone here. Mm-hmm. I'm the only one in the world that feels, thinks this about my life. And so I'm wondering, what have you seen some of the people experience? What's the feedback you're getting?
So just today, one of the clients that I actually get to see in person, she came up to me and she said, I have to share. She was trying to put together, she has a local business here, and she was missing several key players on her team. And we made a list of all the perfect attributes of what her perfect team player looked like. What is that person? How does that person act? How does that person behave? What motivates that person? And she put together this list, and she was sharing it with a gal in her Bible study group. And the lady said, wow, you really know what you're looking for. And she said, she looked across at her and she said, would you consider being part of my team? Because I'm looking at you thinking you have every one of these attributes, and here you are looking for a job. And I never thought of putting her in that position. And she never thought of applying for that position. And it has just been a great match for both of them because they have alignment in their core values. They have alignment in what is a true reward. And she feels that the employee feels very valued and appreciated. And that was something that she was searching for in her career, was that value and that appreciation. And Jenny was just looking for that person that she could depend on, that was joyful to be around, and that would be open to learning. And she said it was right there all along. So every week we come up with a motto, and one of our mottos in week 2 was, "It's been there all along, I just didn't see it."
Right. I think clarity is one of the biggest issues that you can gain from anything. And I think about some of the there've been a number of programs throughout the years that some people are familiar with, and whether it's Tony Robbins or it's the Peak Performance, I think was one with T. Harv Eker had a program that was pretty amazing, and there've been several. Dr. Phil had his Pathways, and there've been others, and they're all good. I mean, you get some stuff out of this, but what's so neat about yours is that it's just so long. What is it, 8 weeks? Is that what you were saying? About 8 weeks,
8
once
weeks.
a week, and you're just taking people through this process. When you think about who needs to be a part of this, who gets attracted, maybe I should say it that way. Everybody needs it, but who's usually attracted to come through the process with you and really get the growth that they want in their life?
The folks that are really attracted to this, Pat, are the people that are feeling uncomfortable with where they're at. You can feel stress, right? You can feel stress happening. You can feel that uncomfortableness that one of the clients that went through this, she said, "I made a decision that I knew I needed to make years ago and just didn't do it." And she said, the day after I did that, I woke up and thought, you know what? My stomach doesn't hurt anymore. And she said, I never realized that my stomach was bothering me. And her husband said, well, you complain about your stomach all the time. And she said, I never connected that unhappiness in my work environment to my physical pain. So those people that are looking for more, those people that want to take it to the next level. One of the gals that came through the last session, she works as a contractor. So she accomplishes a goal and then moves on. And she said, I knew I needed the next challenge, but I wasn't ready to reach for that because I doubted my abilities. And one of the things that we do is we go through asset mapping. What skills do you have? What talents do you have? What gifts do you have? And she said, I looked at all those and I thought, I can do that job. So
I get it. I think about the people that, like, when I first began the process of going through a program like what you're talking about, I remember I went with skepticism. I walked through the door and I'm like, man, this is just a bunch of psychobabble. I mean, and that's me throwing up that barrier because things weren't all good. Mm-hmm. And then we began to talk about, through the process of beginning to expose some of the negative tapes that we receive. And then there's this shift where you begin to release some of the baggage in your life. Mm-hmm. And through the process, I always was amazed at just how every time, and I'm sure this happens in your on your calls, is that once you get past the BS and you begin to open up, that there's this acceptance that happens, and it's a miniature love bubble. It's amazing how much transformation happens in a love bubble, if you know what I'm saying. It's that place where you're free to be you. Mm-hmm. And I think that one of the biggest things that I and why I so love programs like what you're doing is that I remember 6 months after the process, for the first time in my life, I felt like I was swimming in the river with the current. And I would imagine that if people feel like they're just fighting to do what they want to do, to be who they think they're supposed to be, but they're not clear, and they need to find a way to stop the resistance and really step into their gifting. Is that what I'm hearing? And am I reading between the lines right?
Mm-hmm. When we walk down the path of really trying to unbury who you are, we're trying to separate you from all those things that you were told you should be, right? Because we're all told you should do this, you should do that, you should be this, you should respond to things this particular way. And if it's against who you are as a person inside your core, it doesn't feel real to you. You're faking it. I mean, how many of us have said, oh gosh, I hope they don't find out this has been I've been faking it all along. I'm a fraud. They say that that's one of the number one reasons women don't reach for some of those opportunities, because they feel like they're a fraud in the place that they already are. I hope they don't find out. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just faking it. And instead of being able to really embrace who they are and what their strengths and gifts are, that little voice inside their head is always telling them, well, you should have done this, you should have done that, instead of trusting their intuition and their ability to be real. It doesn't mean that you don't need to work on your weaknesses, but really, truly, this is strength based. It's what are you really good at? Because when you think about when you're doing stuff that you're really good at, your energy is high. You're positive. You're happy. People want to be around you. When you're doing stuff that you're not good at, you're not that pleasant to be around most of the time.
I so agree with you too. That when we step into an area that isn't just, it's not just that you can do it. It's that you're designed to do it. Yeah. Where when you get involved in it, it literally charges you up. You don't get tired of doing it. You begin to love what you do. And if you're, in any entrepreneurial or business type of application, heck, you get us in an invoice when you're done. I mean, like, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
So one of the things that you would ask me was, what is my mission statement? And my own personal mission statement that I wordsmithed in 2000 was to connect people with fun and enthusiasm while I enjoy the journey and the friends I make along the way. So I really am, I always said I would be a great matchmaker, because I really truly am like, you should know this person, or you should know that person, or have you tried this? Really solution oriented and wanting people to be successful. I'm an inspirational helper when you go through the our complete personality workshop. When you really dive into my blend of personalities, I'm an inspirational helper. I love people becoming successful.
I call you a bolt cutter, by the way.
Pardon me?
I call you a spiritual bolt cutter. You tend to get around people and go, you know what? I went through that corner of hell too. I got the t-shirt. Hey, if I can do it,
You
You
can.
can do it. And this pulse of energy comes out from you. And whoever's standing in front of you, they zap their change, and they're like, I can do it. And they'll run through a wall for you. And it just break chains in people's lives just because of the way that you transfer that life and energy. And being a master connector is always a great thing, because relationships, I mean, think of how many times the word relationship or a reference to a relationship and fun came together there in your contract. Beautiful.
And so, throughout the journey, we go through the process of really defining what are your core values, what do you consider a true reward? Have you ever read the book, The 5 Languages of Love? So a lot of times we give people what we think they want because that's what we want, and they don't feel the love. And so really understanding what is true for you, and then being able to communicate that with the people around you is huge. It is huge, because most people appreciate you, but they may not show it in the right way, and you don't receive it. Then we walk down the path of core values. We wordsmith a mission statement. We do a vision board. I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Secret. And so we we walk down the path of building a mission statement, a vision statement, and then the vision board. And then really that's where that statement, it's been there all along. I just didn't see it. One of the other tools that we give is, how do you deal with conflict with people that are different from you? And so one of the statements that, one of our mottos during one of the weeks is yes and. So because so many times we're resisting other people and other opportunities because we're right and they're wrong. And so it's, yeah, I see what you're saying, and this is how I see the situation. What do you think we ought to do about it? And so a lot of times when we start giving tools throughout this process, and usually those things come out in the one-on-one phone calls, they sometimes can clear out the energy that's in the place that they're at, and then it becomes more enjoyable.
So, quick question for you. Have you ever seen it affect a person's ability to love and care, or maybe even find someone special in their life? Did you ever, do you see this shift happening in a way where it affects the relationships that people have?
Kind of interesting that you mentioned that. In the book that I co-wrote with a group of women, I talk about the way that I met Rob. And one of the things that brought us together was the fact that I had already had my list of my perfect mate, what I wanted in a perfect mate, and so did he. And so when the universe brought us together, it was like, hey, our list match. So if you're really clear with what you want out of life, those opportunities show up. But if you're so busy grabbing something that might work or be okay, if you've settled, you miss an opportunity. Yeah. So this is all about being clear enough that you can get the opportunity you need and want.
Yeah. Kelly and I had the same thing. I was single for about 4 years, and I knew that at first I wasn't sure I'd get married again. And then I just kind of did a real, like, Pat, do you think that's just a lie? Because everything in you is designed to be married. And I realized that was deep inside of me. That was like at a core level. And I went, if that's there, then the design is that I be married. And so I gave up the question mark and said, it'll happen. And then I said, if it'll happen, then my job during this time period is to prepare myself to be her mate, whoever she was. And like you and Rob wrote down, now my list only had about 11 items on it. Kelly's had about 36. I had a big rhodo on that one. But I remember it's funny, but when you really take this process seriously, many times there'll be a day when it's like, it's over. I remember the day, it was really, it was real emotional at the moment, because I remember talking to my mentor at the time, and I said, I'm ready. I'm ready. And Susan turned around and she said, she's on her way. I mean, like that. And I went, she is. And it was just so scary. And 30 days later, I started dating Kelly. And 7 or 8 months later, we got married. And now we've been married 19 years. So, you know, we did the whole list, compare it, you know, kind of past the point of no return. But it was amazing how, like you and Rob, the clarity, the preparedness, and going through a process like what you're talking about. Now, I know we've gone a little longer than I thought we would tonight. So I want to know if somebody's interested in at least talking to you about the process and maybe getting into one of your group programs, how would they do that? And you know, what do they need to do to connect?
Out at SoulCanyon.com. I've got a class that's actually starting on Monday, Pat. So I don't know how fast this is going out, but you get the coaching program, which is a PDF workbook, and the first invite to the Zoom call, and then we start walking you through the process. At the end of the process, you'll have a vision board. You'll have a 4-step, my perfect, whatever you're looking for. One of the gals got a perfect job. One of them got a perfect team. I mean, you know, it's been really interesting to see what people go for. You can do it for your perfect dog. You know, it's the process is the same. So out at SoulCanyon.com, or they're always welcome to just give me a call, because I do answer my phone, and it's a real person. It's not a little machine.
So, because I'm not going to be able to put that on the screen, what's an email they could reach out and you could schedule time? They can schedule time with you.
So at SoulCanyon.com, because on my name on that should show up, right?
So it's Mary at
SoulCanyon.com. Super easy, right? And all of the information to contact us, including my phone numbers, on that website. So
that's great. And do let them know, you know, in this type of thing where I'm doing an interview with somebody, and especially on a subject that I love so much, I would let them know that you heard about them on my show.
Absolutely.
I don't want anything off of that, because I know that that's a program that can change your life. I've seen it. I actually taught one of those programs 13 times a year for 10 years.
Wow.
And I mentored people to be my replacements, and there's no experience greater than seeing people's lives change. So I adore what Rob and Mary do. I jokingly talk about my bromance with Rob. I'm very happily married to my wife, Kelly. She's amazing. Okay. But I love her husband too. And I know that they can really give you some of the missing key links in creating the life that you want. And so, Mary, any last words as we sign off?
Well, you know, this thing is about 90% off right now. I mean, we've got it down at a ridiculously low cost because we're doing it on a group. We really want to help people. Now's the time. I mean, I really feel that if you're going to make change happen, you've got time right now. You're kind of in this little cocoon. Jump out and be a butterfly, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, folks, just do that. Mary at SoulCanyon.com. Send her an email. Connect with her, go out there, sign up for the class. I'm going to get this thing up as fast as I can, probably tomorrow. Mary, I know you'll share it out on your things. I'll share it out on mine. And folks, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for giving us a little time to speak into your life hope, hopefully. And if you're feeling some of these pains, don't wait any longer. Just take action. So Thanks again, Mary. Today, is a time for change. I'm Pat Dewar. This is Strength-Based Marketing, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again.
Thanks, Pat.